After two previous live action Spider Man franchises, many wondered whether audiences were ready for yet another version of Peter Parker that literally came introduced like 2 years after the end of Andrew Garfield's, and then getting his own movie literally that third year after it was out. And then came Spider Man Homecoming. Marvel Studios, they dropped their first Spider Man film within the MCU, directed by Jon Watts, starring Tom Holland as Spider Man. And Homecoming took the character in like this fresh direction by embracing something previous films only briefly explored. And Peter Parker was still just a teenager. And it was actually nice to have Peter Parker as a teenager. I mean, honestly, most of Spider Man's career in the comics is in high school. I don't know why people like harp on high school so much when he's barely in high school in the comics. Like he's in high school for the first couple of years, but after that it's mostly college. Like a lot of the really big, crazy Spider Man stuff happens when he's in college. But either way. And then they reinstated. They didn't even retell the Spider-Man origin, which is not something I really like. They didn't retell the story, and it really picks up just right after Civil War, like a few months later. And he's trying to prove himself worthy of becoming an Avenger, while learning that true heroism has nothing to do with fame, the powerful suits, or the recognition. All great lessons that Spider-Man should learn. Like these are all great coming of age lessons for a 16-year-old Peter Parker to learn. And then almost a decade later, I would say that Homecoming is still probably one of the few coming of age stories that still kind of holds up, which is pretty damn awesome in comparison. So, his recruitment by Tony Stark during the events of Civil War, following those whole events, it's like when Peter is like returning to Queens and he wants a big mission after that, but he's sitting there waiting for the Iron Man call. So throughout the time, he's just kind of is just being the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, and he's stopping cycle thieves, he's helping out neighbors, waiting for that phone call, and the fact that he feels overlooked, he kind of investigates his own thing going on with a criminal organization and trafficking advanced alien technology salvaged from the New York battle. Honestly, this is probably the best way they could have connected Spider-Man to the MCU was like just have him start being Spider-Man after the Battle of New York, but then also have the ramifications of that whole situation be kind of a part. Not that he's involved or like they secretly had him fighting the aliens out there. He wasn't. He would have been too young. But it is nice to know that they kind of found their own way of sliding him in there. Now, unfortunately, one of my big problems is that the Vulture is responsible for a lot of what's going on because he was a salvage contractor. And I was like, the fact that Stark kind of got them out of there, and that's why he's kind of the villain. It really bothers me because I'm like, man, why does Stark have so much influence on the MCU? But it had to be somebody. So, as Peter digs deeper into the Tombs operation, he reportedly ignores Tony Stark's warnings to stay out of the danger. He just keeps doing it, he keeps doing it, and the recklessness leads to disastrous consequences, including the destruction of Staten Island ferry, and that is one of the coolest sequences in the film, but also a sequence that was in pretty much every Spider-Man Homecoming trailer. Like I'm pretty sure there was a guy who pretty much broke down every single scene in the Homecoming trailers, put them all together, and said, "This is how the movie's going to play out," and that's exactly what happened. And it was just like, that's insane. That's like actually insane. And also, I think holding the ship together from falling apart might be the strongest thing Spider-Man's ever done. Like without any like cosmic influence, like we all remember that story or anything like that. Like I think that's like the strongest thing he's ever like actually done because that's kind of insane. Holding together the Staten Island ferry is crazy. So Tony takes the suit, and Peter has to just come with that difficult decision. Can he be Spider Man without the suit? Can he be Spider Man with the suit? And it's honestly proven that yes, he can be Spider Man without the suit. It's him being a hero. It's not about the technology you wear, it's about the choices that you make, which is a great lesson. It's a great lesson. and that's pretty much kind of it. But the thing for me, I would say one of my biggest issues with Homecoming is that I also really like Homecoming. Like I enjoy the idea that Peter is learning these type of lessons. The problem I had with Homecoming was the fact that I don't like the Iron Man's like I don't know, protege type that like Spider Man doesn't need Iron Man. He never did. And one of the things that the MCU really narked on in the marketing, which wasn't that much influence in the film, was Iron Man's in it. Iron Man's in it. Here he is. Even my like DVD cover has like Iron Man on the cover, I think. And I'm like, Iron Man is Iron Man for 2 seconds in this movie to help stop the Staten Island ferry. And yet here he is all over the marketing, and it was just so annoying, honestly. And then I really just didn't like the fact that he couldn't just function without him. Like the MCU for a long time kind of treated Spider-Man like, well, Iron Man is connected to Spider-Man, and people seem to like it, even though that's never been the case. So like that was probably my only frustrating thing with Homecoming and probably MCU Spider-Man for a while was that like he was just kind of Tony's like other wing. And I'm just like, no, Spider Man has always been Spider Man. He always outsold more than Iron Man. He always was more popular than Iron Man. And the fact that like they were trying to make it seem like they just needed Iron Man involved to sell Spider Man Homecoming tickets, which was not the case. Like but I did find out recently that I think there was this contract with Sony and Marvel when they got the rights to do Spider-Man movies was a MCU character, no matter who, has to show up in the Spider-Man movies. I don't know why, because I'm pretty sure once you saw Spider-Man in Civil War, you would be like, "Oh, this is the Spider-Man that for the MCU." Like I don't think we would have needed that, but for some reason, I think that's just in the contract. For whatever reason. And I mean, fine. It's an MCU Spider Man project. We want MCU characters here. That's why Fury is in Far From Home. And that also explains why uh, Happy is more in No Way Home, right? Like, there's like Happy and yeah, stuff like that happens in Far From Home. But then the other thing is with Brand New Day, that's why we see Punisher and Hulk because I think it's just in the contract. Now I hope they have more to the story than just them having to be there. They've done so well with that so far, but yeah, I would like a little more something in that regard. I'm sorry, Doctor Strange was in No Way Home as well. He's like the other Marvel. Here I said Happy, but Doctor Strange. So like I'm guessing like that's kind of what they have to do. And I guess Doctor Strange made sense for the story of No Way Home. We'll get into that another day. And then Punisher, actually Punisher involving being involved with Spider Man is all common. So like I'm okay with that decision. So going on. So I will say going after my little tangent for a little bit is that Tom Holland Spider Man actually has some great strengths. I think his Spider Man is good. I think Tom Holland's portrayal of Peter was good. I think he was solid. He felt like a very obnoxiously naive teenage Peter Parker. And unlike previous versions, this Peter genuinely feels like a teenager, which, yeah, because the other two versions were in high school for like a little bit and then in college. So, you know what I'm saying? But he has that energetic, he has that awkward, excitable, sometimes immature moments. But underneath all that is someone with an enormous heart who simply wants to help people. And one thing I will say that I like about this Peter is that he is smart. All the Peters have been smart. We see him in class just making the web the web solution while he's in the middle of I don't know chemistry class. Is that chemistry? Like you know what I mean? Like I like the fact that we still see him doing stuff. Like he leaves his book bag places. He changes in an alleyway. He sells his Lego collection. You know what I mean? Ned catches him with his Lego collection. You know what I mean? Like I'm completely okay with the portrayal of Peter Parker. It is just little aspects of it that kind of annoy me. Now, I will say that Tom Holland perfectly captured that youthful innocence with Spider Man's courage because he is brave. He's not afraid to just jump in there and get stuff done. And it did introduce an entirely new generation of Spider-Man, while honoring the core values that made Spider-Man Spider-Man for a very long time. So there are aspects of Homecoming that still make it a good film. It's just that one little issue that I have with the film, and there's another issue that I have, which I'll probably get into in a little bit. Like say, now with the Vulture, right? Michael Keaton is the bomb. No matter what movie Michael Keaton is in, I love Michael Keaton. That is just top to bottom. He can be the best part of a bad movie. He can be the best part of a great movie. He can be an entertaining part of any movie. Let's see, The Flash. You know, he's the best part of a terrible film, for example. And it's definitely like Michael Keaton. He's the MVP. The Vulture is probably one of the more grounded, believable villains the MCU's done. And Toombs, he's not conquering the world. He's just trying to provide for his family, and he felt abandoned by powerful corporations and government agencies. So he's like kind of Robin Hoodish, but like alien tech. And the motivation makes him surprisingly sympathetic. It does. You actually do feel bad for him a little bit because like Tony kind of screwed him over, and so did the other corporations. And he's like, how's he supposed to provide as the everyday man in New York? He's not like a rich billionaire. He's not some guy with his own business. He's just a everyday guy, you know. Man, the car ride scene in Homecoming was one of the most suspenseful scenes because he figures it out right there. And I'm like, oh, so he's not dumb either. See, that's like some of the best villain writing right there, when they're not dumb and they know what they're in the middle of and they just shut the whole thing down. Now, that scene is very suspenseful and cool. Again, naive 16-year-old Peter. I feel like Peter, by the time No Way Home or maybe Brand New Day happens, would have just grabbed his hand and been like, yeah, so I have super strength. They'll try to shoot me. And you can't. You know what I mean? Like, or like something like that, or in the rounds of that. Now, here's where my other issue comes in. The fact that Vulture was just beating the crap out of him the whole time. Now, granted, if Peter would have just punched him in the face, he probably would have slept him. But it is one of those frustrating things. Like, they're having so much trouble with the Vulture, bro. Like, this, nah, bro. No, not the Spider Man we saw rumbling Winter Soldier, Falcon, and then also Captain America in the same film a movie ago. Like, this is not the same kid. So, other than that, but like I said, at the end of it all, like Homecoming is a true coming of age story. Unlike early Spider-Man films, Homecoming leans heavily into the high school experience. Peter isn't balancing college classes or adult responsibilities. He's juggling homework, academic competitions, friendships, school dances, and some superhero duties. That youthful perspective gives the movie its like unique personality. So Homecoming is still has like its charm that I really like about it. And the supporting class with Ned, Michelle, Aunt May, it gave him a world that's just for him. And I love that. The fact that his world was just for him. Now, I will say like the whole romance with Liz felt very like lame. Like I don't know. Like I always thought the whole thing with Liz was like, yeah, she is a big like thing in the comics. Like they don't date, I don't think, but I know like something. But Liz Allen marries Harry in the comics, and we don't have a Harry here, so I guess it's like sure. And the fact that there's really no flesh out with the two of them is it's like whatever, But the big thing is that you find out that she's Toombs' daughter. I guess that's supposed to be the bigger like oh my god thing. So that's like the other. I just love the fact that her parents are Michael Keaton and Garcelle Bouvet. Like what? Like that was wild, bro. But anyway, I want to go out there and just say the action in Homecoming is definitely more of a creative than a spectacle. Like I want to throw out the fact that I love that call out to Master Planner when he's stuck under all the debris and he has to lift it up off of him. That scene is done very well, and I think that's Tom's best act scene in that movie because he does such a good job. The Washington Monument rescue is cool. The Staten Island ferry sequence is awesome. It is, yeah. And that final battle with Vulture is cool because I guess he thought he killed him, but then he didn't. So there's these things like that. So like it's very good that Homecoming kind of leaned more on his intelligence, and some of his perseverance more so than his raw strength and spectacle. So, like I said, Homecoming is still solid. I think Homecoming, after almost 10 years, it does still hold up to being like a really great Spider-Man story, and it's one of the most enjoyable outside of certain things rewatchable MCU movies. The smaller scale definitely helps, especially when things were getting so big. Like we had Age of Ultron, and then 2 movies later we had Civil War. You know what I mean? Then we had like Doctor Strange. Like there was just all this stuff going on. Then like with Spider Man, it was just kind of contained to Queens and some stuff in Washington, but ultimately still in New York. Like it just felt so good to have like such a smaller scale movie after a couple big moments that happened. And that's what it comes down to. So me, it didn't try to outdo any of the other movies. Instead, it just worked as a would Spider Man actually be like if he was a teenager? Like what would Spider Man be like if his long term tenure was a teenager, which we got because we don't really get that in the comics. And the answer is like it's like a charming, heartfelt, entertaining Spider-Man movie. I still have to give Homecoming his props, and Tom Holland gives a great first appearance for his own Spider-Man movie. Michael Keaton was a strong villain. Jon Watts was a good choice to direct Spider-Man, and that is just where I gotta land the plane because there's really nothing more to say. You know what I mean? So I would say to like, comment, subscribe for more. I'll see y'all in the next one.